Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on Sunday. It's the 27th of August, 2023. It's the summer New York Showcase. All races are for New York breds, and we're going to look at the stakes races for the New York breds. So let's get to it right now. But before I do get on to that, remember to follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. I think you know that already. But, just to recap Travers Day, Arcangelo was great, but what happened in the Allen Jerkins, that was just horrible. It put me off the rest of the day, but the rest of the card, but, we just have to find another day. But let's look at the stakes action races 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 10. The second race from Saratoga, it is the Fleet Indian Stakes. It's going for a $200,000 purse race for 3-year-old fillies, state breds. Field of 5 horses taking a lap around the Saratoga main track, which is 1,800 meters in circumference, or the mile and the eighth trip on that main track. Going to take the 3-horse Cairo Sugar as a top selection. 3, 4, 5, 1 for me in the superfecta. 3, 4, 5, 1 super. Top selection 3-horse Cairo Sugar. 3-year-old filly by Cairo Prince. Alan Bedard trains one. Flavian Pratt gets on this one. The horse's most recent outing came 24th of July at Parks, mile 70 and optional 35 claimer. He won by 3/4 length that day, and he's with them early on. He slowly moved his way up from wide poster, he quickened up nicely, and he went away with it. A very good race. He does have slightly slower speed figures compared to the other horses, but I think him being forwardly paced, I think he's been crying out for a little bit more ground. I think he'd get a good trip, and get a good trip to win here today. They only bought him 2 summers ago for $6,000. He's already almost made $200,000, so good purchase for these connections. Two back, he ran in the Bowling Springs at Monmouth, mile 70 in the 2nd of July. He finished 5th by 6 lengths that day, and he was off and on the lead throughout. Kind of hit the wall late. I do think he got beat by classier horses on the day, and then at Parks, mile 70 and ops 35, finishing 3rd by 9 lengths. He was with them early on, then he just kind of crumbled that day. He started in New York most recently in a state bred option 45 at Belmont, the Widener, 1 mile at the end of May, where he finished 7th by 24 1/4 lengths that day. Keep in mind, quite a few horses out of that race were next start winners. He was with them early on, but then just kind of crumbled from a wide poster. His races over the winter weren't bad. He actually won the Mattie May at Aqueduct going a 1-turn mile in February, and broke his maiden 1-turn mile quite nicely at Aqueduct at the end of January. Coming here today, trading well. I'm going to use him on the ticket. So to recount my selection for the second from Saratoga, it's the Fleet Indian. Going to take the 3-horse Cairo Sugar, 3, 4, 5, 1 in the superfecta. The third race from Saratoga, it is the West Point Stakes. It's going for a purse of $200,000, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Excuse me, it's the handicap, not a stakes. But 3-year-olds and upwards state breds here. Field of, 9 horses entered, 7, 8, 9 are MTOs. 6 will head to the inner turf course, 1,700 meters a journey, or the mile 16th trip on the turf course. Going to take the 5-horse Jerry the Nipper. I'm going to go 5, 6, 3, 2 in the superfecta. 5, 6, 3, 2 super. Top selection of 5-horse Jerry the Nipper. 6-year-old Geldon by Liam's Map. Tom Pletcher trains. Jose Ortiz gets the mount. Horse's most recent outing came in an open allowance optional at Saratoga, mile 16th on the Mellon, 30th of July. He won by a neck that day. From a wide poster, he left out of the gate. He stalked all the way around a little bit wide, but he grinded it out to the wire. I thought it was a very good victory against Open Company. Back to state bred stakes, quality horses, back to Saratoga. I'm going to give him another shot to win. He ran this one last year where it was rained off the turf, run over the Wilson Mile, where he finished 3rd by 10 1/4 lengths, man. Some like it, Hop Brown. He's just not a dirt horse. I thought that the race in this one last year. Two back ran 3rd July at Belmont, a mile in the Widener in the Hudson Valley. He finished 3rd by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked. He can never get there late. It just wasn't his day to win. And then the Kingston at Belmont, a mile 16th on the inner on Memorial Day. He finished 2nd by a nose. He stalked. He had the lead. It looked like he was going to get the job done, but City Man just came from nowhere to outgame him late. But he ran his heart out there off the long refreshing. If he had a race, probably would have won that day. His previous race came in an open allowance race at Aqueduct, mile 16th on the inner, 19th of November. Went by 3/4 length. He went away with it. A very good run. Coming here today, training well. Some good races as recently. I'll give him a shot to upset here at 6-1. City Man, I think he get the other side of him today. But to recount my selection for the third from Saratoga, it's the West Point Handicap. Going to take the 5-horse Jerry the Nipper, 5, 6, 3, 2 in the superfecta. The fourth race from Saratoga. It is the Funny Side Stakes. It's going for a purse of $200,000, race for 2-year-olds here, state breds. We have a field of 6 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs in this year's Funny Side. And this year's Funny Side Stakes is kind of special because they're going to be burying Funny Side at Saratoga near the paddock right before the races, and they're going to be celebrating his life, which I think is quite cool. And they're, of course, you have this Funny Side Stakes. And he was one of the first horses that I always remembered growing up. Him winning the Kentucky Derby, him winning the Preakness, which I thought was his best race lifetime, and then ran, just not handling the sop in the Belmont. But everybody and their mother knew Empire Maker was going to win, and 10 Most Wanted, who finished second. Everybody knew he was a real mile and a half horse also. But what can you do? But back to the Funny Side, I'm going to go with the 6 horse. The Wine Stewart has the top selection, 6-5-1-4 in the superfecta, 6-5-1-4 super. Top selection 6 horse, the Wine Stewart. 2-year-old colt by Vino Rosso here. Mike Maker trains. Manny Franco gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 2nd July at Ellis, 5 furlongs in the Bashford Manor, and the horse went by 2 3/4 lengths that day. And he stalked all the way around the race course, a little bit wide, but when he got to the front end, he quickened up nicely on a racetrack that wasn't playing towards horses coming from a little bit behind. It was a little bit out of it early on, but when he had the turn foot late, he got the job done with a very nice 71 buyer. That race could definitely win against these horses. Has some early pace, just if he wants to use it, but coming from the back, I think is good in this one. I expect him to really run a good race. His most recent workout, 47-4 on this main track a few weeks ago, wasn't bad at all. His debut came at Belmont in late May, 5 furlongs in the State Bird at main special weight, winning by a half a dozen that day. He didn't get out of the gate so clearly, but he sat back early. He slowly moved his way up, and he went away with it. A very good strong run. He's training well, has some speed, or come from a little bit behind. They must think highly of him. They only bought him for $340 quite a few seasons ago. I expect him to run well. I'm going to use him on the ticket here. But to recount my selection for the 4th from Saratoga, it's the Funny Side. I'm going to take the 6 horse, the Wine Stewart. I'm going to go 6-5-1-4 in the superfecta. To the 5th race now from Saratoga, it is the Yaddo Handicap. It's going for a purse $200,000. Race fillies, mares, 3-year-olds, and upward state breds. We have a field of a field of 8 horses going the distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or mile 16th on the Mellon Turf Course this time. I'm going to take as a top selection here the number 8 horse, What Love Looks Like. Let's go 8-1-5-7 in the superfecta. 8-1-5-7 super. Top selection 8 horse, What Love Looks Like. 4-year-old filly by English Channel. Tom Fletcher trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. Horse's most recent outing came 6th of August here at Saratoga. Mile 3/8 on the inner turf course in an open allowance optional claimer. And the horse went by 3 1/4 lengths that day. He basically stalked all the way out throughout the race. He got the lead at the top lane, and he went off clear. That was a very good race with a longer trip. I thought she was crying out for it. Cutting back in trip today against some, state breds with the horses done very well with in the past. I expect this horse to really improve a lot again and find a good, race to the winner's circle. 2 back on 4th of July at Belmont, a mile 16th inner in the Port Washington. He won by 1 3/4 lengths that day and was much the best on paper. Only had 3 other rivals, but she stalked, she got the lead, and she went away with it. A very good run there at Belmont on the 4th of July, and then late May at Belmont, a mile on the Widener and an option 45, winning by a half a length. Again, she stalked, she got the lead, and she took off clear. She probably would have won already 4 in a row, but she didn't get out of the gate so clearly in her seasonal reappearance at Aqueduct. Mile 16th on the inner and option 45. She finished second by a length that day. She, like I said, didn't get out of the gate. She stalked. She needs something more late, but she ran her heart out. She likes this turf course. It seems like it took her a little bit of time to get going, but when she finally did get going, she's really improved a lot. 5-2. I'm going to use her here on the ticket. But to recount my selection for the 5th from Saratoga, it's the Yaddo Handicap. Going to take the 8 horse, What Love Looks Like. 8-1-5-7 in the superfecta. Let's get to the 7th event from Saratoga now, which is the Seeking the Ante Stakes. It's going for a $200,000 purse, race for 2-year-old fillies here, state breds. Field of 6 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the main track. I'm going to take the 4 horse Tricky Temper as a top selection. 4-5-1-6 for me in the superfecta. 4-5-1-6 super. Top selection of 4 horse Tricky Temper. 2-year-old filly into the mischief. Jeremiah Engelhart trains. Johnny V gets the mount. John Velasquez is riding at at Kentucky Downs on Thursday, which I find quite interesting, instead of Saratoga. But but that's for another day. That's for Thursday when I look at Kentucky Downs. But most recently, the horse ran 9th of August, Saratoga, 5.5 on the main track off turf at a state-bred main special weight, and the horse went by 4 3/4 lengths that day and showed a lot that day. He stalked all the way around the race course. When he got to the front end, he quickened up and he went away with it. Didn't come back the strongest number of a 59, but it was still a very good run. Since the last race, he's training well. I'm expecting to run a really good race. Half-mile drill on the Oklahoma in 49.3 wasn't the fastest, but wasn't the slowest workout either. I thought it was very good. He's proven he could get out. He didn't prove he could get out of the gate so clearly. But coming here today, hopefully, if he gets out of the gates clearly, he could show some more pace. I'm gonna give him a shot on the ticket. I think the 5-horse Concerte is your second likeliest winner. Not the best beginnings. Also, on the debut on the 14th of July, going 5.5. But after that, he went straight to the front end and kept going. A very, very good race. Since the last run, the workout patterns have been not half bad at all. I'll give this horse shot in the late pick 4 that begins with, late pick 5 that begins with this race. But to recount my selection for the 7 from Saratoga, it's Seeking the Ante. You're going to take the 4-horse Tricky Temper. Give kudos to the 5-horse Concerte, 4-5-1-6 Super, 4-5 in your multi-race. Let's head over to the featured 10th race now from Saratoga, which is the Albany Stakes. It's going for a purse $250,000, race for 3-year-olds here at State Breds. We have a field of 7 horses in the Albany going the distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or a lap around the main track, which is 1.1 miles in circumference. I love the 6-horse here. Drake's Passage is a top selection. 6-2. 5-4 for me in the superfecta. 6-2, 5-4 super. Top selection 6-horse Drake's Passage. This 3-year-old colt by Tonalist. Christophe Clement trains. Manny Franco gets the mount. The horse's most recent appearance came 3rd July at Belmont. A mile on a state-bred allowance race for $80,000. And the horse went by 1/4 lengths that day. And he, again, a little bit wide, but a lot of horses, if you noticed Belmont in the spring, a lot of horses at the top of the lane were staying away from the rail. I don't know if it was a dead rail, but a lot of horses that were winning were just in the 3rd or 4th pass and had the not balcony Belmont move, but they just nobody was near the rail, and he was a little bit wide, but when he quickened up, he went away with it, 15-1, easy money. Great run for him that day. He's making his next logical step around 2 turns, making his next logical step around going to stakes quality horses. His buyers could definitely win against these horses. His most recent race as a 2-year-old came the 8th of December at Aqueduct on the mud, 1 mile main special weight 70,000. He won by 1 3/4 lengths that day. From wide poster, he was wide throughout, but he had the turn of foot to win. Coming on with the 68 buyer, a good race for him there. And then a Aqueduct 7 furlongs on the mud and a main special weight in late November. He finished 3rd by 5.5 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked. He needed something more late, but I didn't think he ran half bad. And then they tried him on the turf at Belmont at Aqueduct in October, mile 16th in the main special weight. He finished 5th by 6 lengths that day. He was just a little bit wide and never really showed up. But he's definitely improved with every single race. He's training well since the last run. I think he's been crying out for 1.1 miles. He's going to get it today. I'm going to use this horse on the ticket to go with this one. So to recap my selection for the 10th from Saratoga, it's the Albany. Going to take the 6-horse Drake's Passage, 6-2-5-4 in the superfecta. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.